Você olha pra mim, você olha pra mim, você não olha pro tesouro.
Okay, so let's get started. Let's start by saying good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I have to do this every time, don't I? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much for being here today. It is a special day for us. It is the last public lecture that we're going to have for this year. But it is also very special because it is our Christmas celebration. Jesus Christ is our master and teacher, and it is with great joy that we take this month to remember him, remember what he brought us, and try to follow his lessons and his guidance as much as we can. Today we have a lecture by Magalhaes, who's going to be talking about Christmas and Spiritism and what it all means in the Spiritist view. But before we start, I'd like to ask another Marco to come here and do our initial reading. And then Mr. Magalhaes will come up, have the prayer, and get us right into the mood with the lecture. Thank you very much.
I'm going to read from Our Daily Bread by Franciscano Xavier and Spirit Emmanuel. In the presence of Jesus. The understanding of service to Jesus among human beings will in the future reach greater depths for the glorification of the one who watches over us closely, and who has done so since the very first day, illuminating your path with divine light. If each educated person could ask himself regarding the essential reason for his activities here on earth, he would always find in his inner sanctuary vast horizons of deductions of infinite value. For whom has he worked in this century? To whom he has offered the fruits of his everyday work? We do not wish to detract from the respectable position of these countries, of the organizations, of the family, or of the personality. However, we cannot fail to observe their expressions of relative in time. In the course of the years, frontiers are modified, laws evolve, the domestic group is renewed, and making progress toward more elevated destinies. Everything that represents effort on the part of the man was accomplished through his own initiative and in the field of permanent work for Jesus Christ. Whatever we realize through the centuries constitute a benefit or an offense to ourselves in the labors that belong to the Lord, and not to us individually. Legislators and governed people depart in time with their own individual baggage, and Jesus remains in order to evaluate the advantage or disadvantage of the collaboration of which one of them in the divine service of involvement and enlightenment. Administration and obedience, the responsibility of tracing and following, are only subdivisions of the concession conferred by Lord to the followers. Dignified work is a saintly opportunity. Within the circle of service, the attitude of each human being will either honor or dishonor his eternal personality in the presence of Jesus Christ.
So let us now, with our thoughts illuminated by these beautiful words read today, and uniting all our thoughts into the figure of our Master Jesus, that came to this planet incarnated as a humble man to show us, through all his actions and all his words, the meaning of love. May we all today use this knowledge to transform ourselves and all the people around us, especially during this time of year. May we be able to understand the words that are going to be explained here today and disseminate this love in every second of our lives. And we thank all our spiritual friends present here today and incarnated ones. And may our mentors bless this meeting, allowing us here to have a joyful morning. And so be it. Okay, let's get started. I know Daniel's starting to participate, you see, but...
He's trying to say something.
No, he's trying to tell me something. I can't understand.
Dad, don't say that. Say that.
Okay, so it's a pleasure to be here one more time, to see all these friendly faces again, and all my friends over the internet. So last year I was here with the same title of my lecture, called Christ and Christmas, but a very different approach to it, though. Because last year we talked about what exactly are we celebrating, when are we celebrating, why are we celebrating. So these are questions that most of us go through our life, very often. But very few of us actually really understand what's happening. Especially in the recent years. Then things started to change in a way that religious aspects of dates are being put aside. In order for in this idea of respecting everyone and accepting everyone, all of a sudden, believing in a religious or in a moral principle during a special time, like holidays, it's actually not socially acceptable anymore. And all of a sudden, instead of having Merry Christmas in the stores, we have Happy Holidays. And that's exactly what this transformation is doing. But the interesting part of it started in the early 1800s, when this marvelous figure of Santa Claus arose from a book. And the book basically brought to life this syncretism, this combination, this merge of different philosophies, creating an icon that will be used now and set forward as the icon of the holidays, which are not Christmas anymore. So last year we talked about it. So today I'm not really going into more detail about these things. But I just want to refresh your minds about what exactly we're celebrating. So most of us will agree, yes, we're celebrating the incarnation, or, when Jesus was born in the existence that we can remember and understand. And that's absolutely true. But again, we have to think that, he wasn't born in winter. He wasn't born this time of year. All those dates and times and things were all organized through years and years and changed multiple times, up to a point that we now have the 25th of December as the day Jesus was born. But we have to understand that Jesus, as the governor of our whole system and planet, was here way before even all of us ever imagined to be incarnated in this planet. He's been organizing all this even before we thought about existing. So that's just for us to kind of refresh our minds a little bit of what is Christmas. But today we're going to talk about something light and more festive and interesting. I don't want to be here just, saying that, be careful of Santa Claus and things like this. No, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that Santa Claus does not exist, because I know I'm going to make a lot of people very frustrated, and I don't want to do that, right? Yeah, I know, sorry. But today I'm not going to say that. Yeah, that's right. We have kids in here. That's right. Maybe watch. No. So there was a recent just a recent study came, and I was reading about it. It's very interesting. So, if you ask most of us, like, how you feel during the holidays, see, I'm using the word holidays because research used it was holidays. They don't use Christmas. But, you know, what do you think people would answer if I ask, you know, people on the street, how do you feel during this time of year?
Happy.
Yeah, what else?
Depressed.
Yes. What else?
Sad.
Yeah, sad, anxious,
Excited.
excited, yes. So, right, so if I ask, so how many people you think would say to me that they feel less stressed during the holidays time? Out of 100 people, how many?
10.
Very close. 8. Just 8% of people actually say in the research that they actually feel less stress and anxiety during the holidays time. Why do you think that happens? Any idea?
High expectations.
Good. Any other ideas?
Cooking.
Diet. No. Okay. About 38% of responders said that actually they feel more stress and anxiety during the holiday time. And about 50% said they feel the same. So, interesting enough, we're celebrating love, sharing, you know, understanding, you know, rebirth. But at the same time, we're feeling more stressed, more anxiety. And this is just showing us that, well, there's something really wrong happening. And if you ask now people, why do you feel more stressed during holidays? So on the top 10 list, the first 4 ones will be financial issues, stress of holiday shopping, commercialism, lack of time, and the last one, which I found very interesting, was diet. Anyways, but out of the top 10, 5 of them were related to financial things, or stress related to buying gifts, or attending meetings, or, you know, all these things together. So we are actually creating something that we're calling Christmas that's actually not Christmas. Can you see like this thing rising that, well, I have to do this. This is now a standardized system in our society. I have to do this particular shopping. I can't forget anyone because Santa Claus told me so. You have a list. No one's going to be forgotten his list. So basically this is now embroidered in our minds since we're kids. And we create this hype and stress that kind of contradicts what exactly we're doing here. It's exactly the opposite. Now, in the other hand, a lot of people will feel alone and sad and depressed. Although, and this is about 27% of people will feel depressed during Christmas time for various reasons. But we're very good at transforming something that's absolutely fantastic into something that's really problematic. That's what our society really is working really hard to do. So, but for us, you know, so most of us, you're going to ask me now, so, you know, what are you going to get now? You know, you're telling me that's stressful. Yeah, I know. I have to fight for parking spots. You know, there's a big lineup. Like, people get the last piece of the t-shirt that I actually wanted. I know all about that. So, there's a story, and this is what I'm going to tell you today. A story that took place about 2,000 years ago. And that's a very interesting one. So it's the story of a man called Artaban. Artaban, he used to live in Persia. He's from the Magi kingdom, and you know where I'm getting, because Melchior, you know, was also friends with Artaban. And they all decided a long time ago, you know, together with Gaspar and Balthazar, to read through some scripts that they had from many thousands of years before, that the prophecy were actually telling them. These are very wise men, and that's very much the reason why we call them the 3 wise men. But the interesting part of the story is that we're going to tell the story of the other wise man, Artaban. So Artaban, studying the manuscripts, he realized that at some point, some planets will collide through the space and time. They used to study a lot the disposition of the planets in the universe. And when that happens, a huge star would be risen and would appear in the night skies. And when that star appeared, they had to follow it. That's exactly what was written in the texts. And they truly believed in it. Up to the point that they sold everything they had as kings of the Persian Empire. Following another wise, they were followers of another wise man called Zoroaster. Zoroaster, many thousands of years even before Christ, said something very interesting. In the universe there are two things. One's called the truth and the other one's called the lie. So if you align yourself with the truth, you're going to follow the pathway of God. And the more good you do to others, the more you approximate yourself of the truth. Have you guys ever heard of something similar? So now we're talking about approximately 6,000 years before everything that I'm talking about took place. So Artaban, which is the other wise man, organized a meeting to cross. So one night he saw the star and he said, yeah, I have to go. So they had a plan. They're going to meet the other three before getting through the desert to get to Bethlehem, where Jesus was going to be born a few days after that. So the only issue is that when he was on his way to the meeting place, his horse stopped for a rest, and he saw a Hebrew lying on the ground, sick, dehydrated, alone in the night, cold night. He realized that if he didn't do anything for that poor man, he was going to die. Well, but at the same time, he had to meet Melchior, Balthazar, and Gaspar, because that's actually was the plan and that was the prophecy. But he said to God, God, forgive me. I believe I have to do good at all times. I know this is the prophecy, but I'll do what I have to do. He stays. He takes care of this old Hebrew. He gives him all his food, wine, medication, hydration, everything he had, so that man would survive. And he settles again on his horse and said, you go, I have to go. And he continues, but he saved his life. Unfortunately, when he gets to the meeting place, he found a note. And the note said, we had to leave. I'm sorry. We have to see the birth of the King of Man and the King of Jews. Unfortunately for Artaban, he couldn't cross the desert himself. He had a horse. He had nothing now on him because he left everything with the poor man that was about to die. He was carrying a gift to Jesus too. Actually, 3 of them. 3 stones. A ruby, a sapphire, and a pearl. And that's what he said. Again, God forgive me. One of the gifts that I'm going to actually bring to Jesus, I'll have to go back and sell so I can repack myself to cross the desert by myself because I'm alone now. And that's what he did. He went back to Damascus on his horse, bought all the maintenance, camels, everything he needed to cross the desert, but he had to give the sapphire for that. Now he has 2 stones. But he did the journey. He crossed the desert and he got to Bethlehem. The city was a desert. Remember what was happening in Bethlehem that time? Herodes was the king in that area, that area in that time, decided that he was going to kill all the babies that were 2 years old or younger because he was afraid that the king would come and then, of course, would take his place. So the city was desert. He missed, again, everyone. He missed Jesus, Mary, and at the city. They were gone already. So he goes into this little house, and a young lady with a baby invites him in and gives him food and some shelter, and then they start to talk. And she says, you missed it. I'm sorry, but The 3 wise men are gone. We don't know where they are, but they were here. And they saw Jesus being born, the Nazareth being born from Mary. But they're also gone, and they probably went to Egypt. They're fleeing Herodes. All of a sudden, when they're talking, the guards from Herodes come into the house and remind you that the lady had a young baby. He's desperate. So what he does, he again looks up to God and says, God, I'm really sorry, but I have to do something now. I can't continue my journey. He goes outside and says to the guards, there's no baby in this house, and I'll give you a ruby if you go away right now. So now he gives up the ruby to save the life of a mom and a kid. And he does that. But he feels really desperate because now he only has a pearl to give to Jesus, and Jesus is not even there. He's running after him, but he couldn't find him. The mom is really happy, of course, and tells him, God bless you, and go to Egypt. You may find him there. And that's exactly what he does. At that time, many Jews were actually going the same route, trying to find other places to escape from the oppression from Herodes. He finds another very wise man that's told him, you're not going to find Jesus in a palace. He's a king. But you're going to find him in places where people are hungry, places where people need medication, where they're suffering. That's exactly where you're going to find Jesus. And that's what he does for 33 years. He tries to search desperately for Jesus to find him and give him his gift to fulfill the prophecies. But along the way now, he's helping thousands of people because he's actually going where people need him. And with his knowledge of medicine and astrology, he was a very wise man. He was able to actually help thousands and thousands during the way. But he was always feeling inside himself that he needed to find Jesus. And he kept doing it. Up to one day he gets close to Jerusalem in his continuous search for Jesus. He's an old man now. And when he was walking on the street, he actually stand beside 2 men talking about something, an event of the night. Something really amazing was going to happen that night. 3 people were going to be crucified. 2 well-known, marginals, like, bad people, kind of they call. Yeah, criminals. And one that was called the King of the Jews. And it was actually written on the cross, King of Jews. When he heard that, he said, this is the man I'm searching for 33 years. And he goes to Jerusalem. When he's getting close on his way, he just finds this young lady, hurt, about to be killed by a dozen of guards. The reason why, she's been sold to pay debts from her father. She was going to be killed. For the 3rd time, he's looked up to God and said, God, I know what I'm doing is really extreme right now, but the last gift I have for Jesus, I'm going to give to save the life and pay the debt of this young lady. And that's what he did. He used the pearl to save the life of that young lady. Now he's really desperate. He cannot get to Jerusalem in time. He used all his gifts. He can't do anything else. He sits down and starts to cry with the young lady that's also on the ground. But something spectacular happened exactly at that moment, because there's an earthquake. The clouds turn dark. We have the storm coming. The earthquake happens. What is happening at that time? Remember the description when Jesus actually gives his last breath to incarnate on earth? That's exactly what happens. But tragedy happens because a piece from the roof of a house hits his head and he's now unconscious on the ground. But the lady keeps hearing the voice. Although there's no one around, everyone's fleeing because of the earthquake. he keeps hearing the voice, but she can't really understand what the voice is telling. And then all of a sudden, the old man says, Lord, tell me, where did I give you something to eat if I've never seen you? Tell me, where did I actually give you shelter if I've never seen you in my entire life? Explain to me, where did I give you food if I could never get close to you? And then she hears a voice. In truth, I tell you, whenever you do that to the little ones, you're doing that to me. You found me. This is not true. The story is fiction. It did not happen as that. It was actually written by a guy called Henry Van Dyke in 1859. But it's true in our hearts, because that's exactly what Jesus wants from us in Christmas time. He does not want us to buy the gifts and give to Him. He wants us to use everything we have to do better for everyone that we see along the way. He does not want us to fight for a parking spot and buy a nice gift for another person. He does not want us to just forget that we're seeing a lot of people in need around us and just do marvelous things during Christmas Eve. That is not Christmas. An altar bar, by the words of Henry Van Dyke, represents the true spirit of Christmas. Because Christ, Jesus Christ, is not in a pedestal somewhere. He's not in an image somewhere. He's right here. He is the love that we have inside of us as this little gem, as this little seed, that unfortunately we can't make it grow. We have to work hard for that. But what's interesting, Van Dyke said something many years after he wrote this book. It's a short story. Here's what he said. I do not know where this little story came from. Out of the air, perhaps. One thing is certain, it is not written in any other book, nor is to be found among the ancient lore of the East. And yet, I have never felt as if it were my own. It was a gift, and it seemed to me as if I knew the giver. Words by Henry Van Dyke. We receive those messages every day in our hearts. He had his connection to actually put in words and help a lot of people with that. But we do receive the call daily. Not to write a story like this, but act like Artaban. Go outside, spread the word. Be a better person. Be the love that you want others to feel. Be that flame. And this is the real spirit of Christmas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marco. Anyone has like to make any comments or add your own personal thoughts to this time of the year, to the real sacrifice of Jesus, which was really, in my view, not dying, but being born in the first place, coming to us, dedicating a few short years in His existence for us to learn the lessons that have survived over 2,000 years. Nobody? Well, I hope that the words and the example, imaginary, fictitious, or kind of just inspired, let us think always, not just this time of the year, but back to what Marco was mentioning, How do we heard these words? Well, we've heard this story in a very simple phrase, that without charity there is no salvation. And charity is not the money that we send on a check, on an envelope to somebody, but it's the little things, it's the goodness, it is the love that we share with everyone around us, our family, our friends, why not our adversaries or enemies, or even the strangers. It is so easy to be so stressed with everything that we need to do in our lives that we forget to be kind, to be gentle, and to be true to our inner soul. I hope everyone has a great Christmas. We're going to be rearranging the room here for our lunch and learn. So those who would like to stay and join us, you're most invited. And I'd just like to do a very quick prayer to finalize the thoughts and the ideas that we have shared here this afternoon. So let's thank all of those who have made our existence here possible. We thank, of course, God, our Father, our Creator. The reason that everything exists. The almighty power that has defined a purpose in our lives. We thank Jesus Christ, of course, our governor, our teacher, our friend, whose lessons and whose guidelines are all we need to progress in the evolution of our spirit, enjoy a happy and meaningful life in each one of our existences. Let's thank all of the spirits who help this house, who help each one of us, who protect us, who inspire us, and why not, who love us unconditionally. Let's thank each other for being with you, for being here, sharing these moments, sharing this experience, and sharing our love. Thank you very much, and so be it. So today is the last public lecture. We will be having some events that are going to be broadcast during the holidays over the internet. So you will find information about that in our website, in our Facebook page. If you have any questions, you can ask any one of the volunteers, Mark or myself. And we're back January 5th with our planning session. This is a day that we take aside to think about all the things we would like to do and how to best serve our members, serve our community, and serve those who we are certain will be looking for assistance throughout the year. Everyone is most welcome to come. All you have to bring is your goodwill, your creativity, and your great suggestions. So we look forward. It will start here at 10 o'clock in the morning, Sunday, January the 5th.